Welcome to the Elevate Podcast, your resource for all things business, brand, and leadership. We are excited you have decided to join us today.
Hey guys, welcome to the Elevate Podcast. I'm Robert Kalin. I don't know about you, but that intro always gets me pumped up and jazzed, especially today, episode number 34. We've got a great program for you. Again, I'm Robert Kalin here with my friends, Mike Newman and Tony Frasconi.
Hey, everybody.
Tony, kick it.
Hey, good to be here.
It to you guys. I'm going to kick it, okay? So we have a gentleman, James Berger, as a guest today. And Tony, you know James pretty well. I'm going to throw it over to you so you can give him the intro.
Absolutely. So James and I, we go way back. We both share a passion for sports, specifically football. And for some years there in the first decade of the 2000s, we coached a lot together. And we've just he's always been somebody I've looked up to. And then since leaving California in 2016 to move up here to Washington State, he's just been one of those folks that I've stayed connected with from California as a friend. And I'm always kind of just following him to see what he's been doing. And we had a chance to connect a couple months ago, and I got a chance to hear get caught up from where I thought he was to sharing where he actually is now. And so when I knew James, I knew him as he worked in the IT field, worked for some corporation, and I knew and then we coached together and had a friendship. And I never knew that he had taken this journey to launch his own business. And he told me the entire story. And right when he was telling me that, I thought, man, we've got to get him on this podcast. He's going to add so much value today. And I'm really excited to introduce my good friend, James Berger.
Right on.
Welcome, James.
Hey, everybody. How are you?
Good. Great to have you with us.
Yes.
No, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
So James, like Tony was just saying, I don't know if you could hear that intro, but we just would love to hear a little bit of your story. Where did you start and where are you right now?
So the journey has been a long one, and Tony was a part of a lot of it. I had started in IT a long time ago, working for other companies as an IT consultant, kind of managing small and medium business. I did a large corporation at one point, but being another number on the payroll just wasn't something that interested me. The small, medium business market really piqued my interest because every day I was making a change. I was making a difference for people, and I felt valued every day. And then, on top of that, I've been coaching high school football now for 27 years. And that comes with its own reward, right? So sometimes people are like, well, you're married, you have 4 kids. My kids literally grew up on the football field. And so, people ask, how do you do it? And, you just figure it out. When you love to do something, you find a way to do it and you just figure it out.
That's good. That's really good. So it really connects with me with, the idea that just being another number. I came from Microsoft, and that feeling of just being another number is something that I think just at a human level we all kind of have at some point. But some of us, it really drives us into that entrepreneurial lane to just take that next step. How was that for you? I mean, because I'm sure there was a ledge of fear, this idea of going out on your own, doing your own thing. How was that for you? Yeah,
so I'll start off by saying, running my own business was something I never thought of doing. It was never a goal of mine. I was working for a client of mine as a VP of IT. And I was there for about 2.5 years, and they were going through a round of layoffs. And I was affected by the layoffs. And so when I got laid off, I knew my passion was to be back in the MSP business, which is a managed service provider managing IT for clients. And I was interviewing and, had job offers, but I was really being picky, looking for the right one that would really deliver the values that I felt like the industry should be delivering. So I had a friend who was a CEO. His name is Clint, and we went out to lunch one day, and I kind of told him the struggles I was having. And he looked at me point blank, and he said, "You know, in order for you to affect the kind of change you want to affect, you have to start your own business." And at the time I looked at him, I was like, "Look, there's no way, right? I mean, I have to find clients. I don't know the first thing when it comes to accounting, this and that." He goes, "Look, that's the easy stuff. We'll figure all that stuff out. But I really think you can do this, and I'm willing to help you." So the first hurdle was making the commitment to do it. The second hurdle, which was the toughest one, was, my wife's a stay-at-home mom. I have 4 kids that relied on me to provide. So the biggest hurdle was to go home and convince the wife that this was a good idea. Because, let me tell you, if you want to go down this road and you don't have the support of your spouse or significant other, it's never going to work.
Yeah, that's great.
So I went home with her, and I was surprised. Like 15 minutes in the conversation, she goes, "Yeah, I agree. I think you should do it. And whatever it takes, let's just make it happen." So we started on the journey, and it's been a little over 8 years, 8.5 years, and it's been quite the ride. The one thing I will say is we've stuck to our values as a company. We've stuck to what we believe in, no matter how bad things got or how great things were. We always stuck by our values as a company, and not just from the leadership. Everybody that works for the company. We're at 32 employees now, and everybody in the company works, lives, and breathes our values. We talk about it all the time. When decisions need to be made, we always ask, how is this aligned with our values? And you can never go wrong.
James, for our listeners out there, can you just share what your company is called and like the type of, just some of the high level of what type of service you provide?
Yeah. So the name of the company is BACS Consulting Group. We manage IT. And when I say IT, it's everything from help desk to infrastructure to guiding the business from a technology standpoint during your growth, right? It's helping you use technology to become more efficient as a company, helping you with your business processes, helping with enterprise applications like ERP systems and things like that. And our client base is anywhere between 50 employees up to 300-400 employee size companies.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Hey, so James, when you're looking at this, you've had this conversation with your wife. She gives you the green light to go, and you're thinking about what's the next steps. How did you get through that terror barrier part of things that happens when you're starting something new? Did that come at you, or were you just all in and away you went?
So I didn't have the fear up front, because up front I was so focused on what do I need to do to get from point A to point B to point C. And with the help of some people, they helped me guide through what that should look like. And I just went right to work. And things started to come in, right? The business really started to take off. And I will say, here's where the fear kicked in. The fear kicked in 2 years down the road. Things are going well. I had just signed my largest client that I've ever had at that point. And then some clients started to leave, not because they were unhappy, but because financially they couldn't afford it anymore, or we had some that closed their doors. And so that was tough. So then that was like, well, wait a minute. I was here on revenue, and now I'm down here. And then you start to realize at that point, it's not just about you anymore. You have all these employees that rely on you to provide for them, right? And that was scary. And how do you work through that when you've never been through that before, right? You have this added layer of responsibility that you didn't even realize you had until you hit that point.
Yeah.
And I'm thankful that I had some mentors that really helped me through it, but they basically said the same thing. In times where you're struggling, you got to put your head down. You cannot waver, and you just have to keep powering forward. Take it one day at a time. What were all the things that you did that made you successful to begin with? Keep doing those things. Don't get sidetracked by you lost a client or this is happening or that's happening. Just keep chugging away, keep moving forward, keep having positive thoughts, and don't try to solve all the problems in one day, right? Chip away at it, and slowly but surely you kind of get over that hump. And so we've used that methodology a few different times to get over the hump, because we've had several, right? And COVID being the biggest one. But we've had several, and it's helped us in everything we do, from managing the team to getting employees over their own humps.
That's
Yeah, I
great.
think that's what as you're talking about that, what resonated with me was a couple of things that you said that hopefully our listeners picked up. And if they didn't, I'm going to repeat them, but probably not as eloquently as you did. Keep your head down and keep going forward.
Yep.
And then the second one was to stay positive. Those were the two things that I heard. You had more than that, but those were the two that stuck with me. And so when you're in those challenges like that, you're faced with challenges, and you got your head down and you keep moving, and then you get through it, and then you're ready for that next stage of growth, because you said now you've got 32 employees. So how do you begin to spread out the leadership amongst the people on your team, and what qualities of people or qualities in people are you looking for?
So this goes back to coaching, right? And back when I started coaching football with Tony, one of the things that I heard over and over again is the most successful head coach is the one who surrounds himself with people that are better than him, right? And so what I realized, if I was going to grow the business, I had to let go of certain things that I was doing that I shouldn't be doing. And the only way to do that was I had to make sure that I surrounded myself with people that were technically smarter than me, right? And so I did. I went out and I started looking for people that were smarter than me, that had certain qualities and the same qualities that I had in myself. They weren't afraid to fail, right? That's number one. You have to accept the fact that you're going to fail. It's how you're going to respond to that failure, and how are you going to be supported through that failure, right? People fail because, number one, they're afraid to fail, so they automatically fail. Or two, they do things without realizing what the consequences are, right? So we tell our people, hey, it's okay to fail. You're going to fail. No one in this company is ever going to work and just be successful 100% of the time. Even the best of you is going to fail, and it's okay. You're not going to get fired. You're not going to lose your job. What we're going to do is we're going to see what happened, learn from it, and we're going to make sure everyone in the company learns from the mistake, and then we're going to move on and move forward as a company. That's really the only reason why we're at where we're at today, is we took those times and learned from our failures, from our mistakes, and we did it as a team. And so we grew as a team. I didn't just grow myself, right? Everybody that has been with me along this ride has learned together.
That's great. So that brings up another question. That's a great lead in. Everybody's learned together. How do you call people up who maybe don't see the potential in themselves to take on that leadership mantle?
What I find is people are scared, right? Sometimes they see it, but they're scared to take the next step because they don't know how, or they don't have the support system. So what we've done is, I used to work at companies where we do these semi-annual reviews and this and that. I don't like them. So we got rid of it. And instead, what we do is we do bi-weekly check-ins, where when we're checking in bi-weekly, it's not to check in and say, what's on your plate? How can I help you? This and that. It's more along the lines of, what's your reason for being here at this company? Where do you want to go? How can I help you get to where you want to get to? And what resources do I have to provide you in order to get where you're going? And we talk to every single employee like that. I tell everybody it's my job to work you out of a job at BACS one day. And they look at me and they're like, well, wait a minute, I thought you wanted here long term. And it's like, I do, but you have to understand that if I can help you grow as a person and create some ambition in you, one day, if you have enough ambition, there's not going to be a role here for you anymore because you've grown to where you want to, that you could go. And ultimately, you want more for yourself, and that's not going to be here at this company. But if I can help you get to that point, and I can help you be a springboard for your career, maybe you're here for 5 or 6 years while you do that. That's great. I'm going to get a great 5 or 6 years out of you. And then I'm going to see, it's like watching your kids grow up, right? And they take off, they go out into the world, and they're doing great things. I have people that used to work for me that are now directors, that are second in command at their own IT firms. They're senior managers at larger companies. They don't have that opportunity here with us, but every single one of them, and I keep in touch with all of them. Every single one of them come back and say, you know what, a lot of the things that I learned and where I'm at is because of how we did things at BACS. And I even implement some of the things and how we do it at the current company that I'm at. There's no better reward than that. I mean, yeah, you love for them to be working with you, but that's even better.
Yeah.
We always hear in sports about the coaching tree. The coaching tree, you got the head coach and the assistants that all become head coaches. Well, James, you've created a leadership tree within technology with what you've done, and that's just so exciting to hear about how your focus is. I want to work you actually out of a job here at where we're at, so you can be even more successful where you're going to go. That's outstanding.
Well, I mean, if you look at it this way, right? The running joke in IT a long time ago was, you go work for a company, and then if you want to raise, you have to find a new job every 2 or 3 years because companies weren't really proactive in giving employees raises. And so when and then I look back at my career and I'm like, wait a minute, that's exactly what I did. I would work at a company for 2, 3, 4 years and then feel like I'm not getting paid what I'm worth. And then I would leave. And yeah, I would get that pay jump, and then I would have more responsibility, learn new things. And then why couldn't I do that all at one company? Right.
Yeah.
So because of that, that's the environment we created here. We're proactive with increases to employees. We don't wait for them to come to us. We're very big on, we're going to pay you what you're worth. And that's not necessarily means what you're capable of doing technically. It's just what you're worth as an employee in our field, right? So we're going to do that. And number two, we're also going to help you grow so that you don't have to leave to get more money, and you don't have to leave to find more opportunity. If you stop learning here, then that means you've learned everything you can learn, right? So that's kind of the mindset that we have.
I love it. Richard Branson has this quote that's out there. You probably heard it before, right? Is that train people so well that they can go anywhere, and treat them so well that they don't want to. I feel like you're building that culture at BACS, and hats off to you. That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you. It's I won't say it's been easy, but I will say it's definitely been fun, because we've only been able to get here by getting feedback from our employees, and our employees have really been really open with giving us that feedback. And I think they're open giving us that feedback because they see when we give feedback, there's change, right? And it's change that benefits us, not just the company.
So as we close out this episode, what would be one thing you would tell a business owner that would help them create a culture like you've created at your company?
I will say, don't worry about the bottom line. Don't worry about your revenue. Don't worry about how much money is coming in, because if you don't have the right people in place, then the revenue is going to go away anyway. Focus on your people. Make sure that you have a staff that is really bought into whatever culture it is you have at the company, whatever values you have at the company, and make sure that everybody is moving towards the same single goal. If you do that, the revenue is going to take care of itself.
I love it. Hey, James, I would love to have you on, continue this conversation in a second episode, if you wouldn't mind.
Absolutely.
And we'll jump back into it next week. Sound great?
Yeah, sounds perfect.
Awesome. You guys, I hope this has been a learning experience for you. I hope that you can pull something amazing. There's been such good content out of this that we could all just take a little something and bring it back to our teams. We are here for you at Elevate. Elevate conference is coming up very soon. www.countercultureleadership/elevate23 to grab your tickets and be there, get more of this. We will see you on the next episode. Take care.
Thanks, everybody.
See you, everybody. James, great to see you, man.
Thank you for joining us. Our hope is this episode has been helpful for you today. If it's impacted you in some way, we encourage you to share it with someone. To receive a direct notification of our next episode, click the follow button on your favorite app or platform. You can also watch each episode on YouTube. The links are in the description. If you want to connect with us on a deeper level, go to countercultureleadership.com/resources. We'll see you next week on the Elevate Podcast.